I've always wanted to do performance capture, and I've always wanted to play a great ape. Ever since I saw Andy do King Kong as a kid, like
Yeah.
I've wanted to do this. I don't think I'd be an actor if I hadn't seen Andy do that.
I cannot wait for this movie. It looks fantastic. I'm so excited.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
So Wes said that you guys worked a little bit with Andy Serkis when preparing to kind of give you advice on the mocap process and really becoming an ape. Can you talk a little bit about working with him and what that advice was?
We had a few Zoom sessions with Andy. The first, I zoomed with him from my apartment in Sydney, and we just kind of talked for like hour and a half, and then he was really generous to extend that to the rest of the cast and actually work with us in Ape School over Zoom, but still like talk to each one of us specifically about who we were playing. And I remember him actually like kind of grilling is maybe a strong word, but really trying to get details from us about the world that we were inhabiting. And it sort of helped us be like, oh, we need, we need to come up with this stuff and like and really make this real for ourselves. And actually his kind of the way that he thinks about things uh got me to kind of get the rest of the cast together, and we all sat down and basically wrote like a handbook for our clan of like what goes on day to day, like what's our lives like, what do we do when we wake up, what are our stories that we tell each other, really getting detailed about the world that we were inhabiting. So that was really helpful. But I think the biggest thing that he gave to me was like, yes, the physical character is a huge part of it. The voice is a huge part of it. The breath is important, but it's still just acting, and you need to do all the things that you would do for a human character for this guy. It's no different. So that was a really good thing to hear.
And I have to know what stood out to you about the character of Noah and kind of the script that made you go, I have to be a part of this project.
Everything. Literally everything. Like I know that's kind of a cop out answer, but no, I mean, the script was so well written that sometimes you get a script that just kind of comes off the page, and this was one of those where I could really see the movie, and see the character, even before I got there or even spoke to Wes. I thought it was really smart how they were writing it, and really timely, in terms of the themes that we're dealing with in this movie of power and knowledge and legend, and how those all kind of work together. And Noah was such a beautiful protagonist in terms of starting hopefully what's going to be a new trilogy. You have this young, curious ape who doesn't really know anything about the world and has been raised with this kind of warped viewpoint that he has to grapple with. So he's got all these different philosophies going around in his head all the time, and he's got to make sense of that. And so that's a cool character to experience a new world with. And also, I've always wanted to do performance capture, and I've always wanted to play a great ape. Ever since I saw Andy do King Kong as a kid, like I've wanted to do this. I don't think I'd be an actor if I hadn't seen Andy do that. So,
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that had a huge effect on me.
This is the first movie kind of in like the current series that we've seen without Ceasar. So can you talk to me a little bit about Noah's journey and how he not only stands out from Ceasar as a protagonist, but also sort of steps into his shoes as a hero?
I can't speak as much about Ceasar's journey as I can Noah's, obviously, because I didn't play him. But I think one thing that really sets him apart is Ceasar is raised with humans. Right. Is raised by a human. And so he has a very different idea of what humans are. Um, and a lot of what we see Caesar go through in that trilogy in Rise, Dawn, and War is sort of grappling with like human cruelty
Yeah.
and forgiveness for human cruelty, um, and also ape cruelty and how similar the two species are. Uh, Noah doesn't know any of that because he's never met a human. And all he's ever known is his clan, Eagle Clan. Um, that's his entire life. And Eagle Clan really doesn't, there's not like a lot of murder in Eagle Clan. There's not, he isn't raised with violence or abuse or trauma or anything like that. That comes later because storytelling. Um, but yeah, I think the two where the two characters begin in terms of human relationships and also what they know about the outside world is very different. Um, Now, Caesar's legacy plays a huge role in Noah's sort of journey of discovering what the world is.
Yeah.
So the two become quite intertwined. But yeah, I don't know. Does that kind of answer what you were
Yes.
asking?
Perfect. Can you touched on it a little bit, but can you talk about how the apes have really evolved in this world without the cruelty of humanity and how that's changed them and their perception of the world?
In terms of Eagle Clan, in terms of where Noah comes from, humans are basically animals. They're like pests. We don't like them, but they're not like they're not bad necessarily. They just don't mean good things. They mean like, oh, there's a problem in the outside world. We should get rid of the pests because they're going to eat our crops. It's that kind of thing. Like humans are an annoyance. Um, I think I think within like the little kids of Eagle Clan, the young apes, I think they probably tell stories about humans, which we don't call them humans because we don't know that word, but they're kind of these scary monster, creature things, but they're really not a threat. Part of Noah's journey is learning what humans are capable of and what they were once capable of. So his perspective changes radically. But yeah, humans are really just wild animals to the apes now, and because of that, the apes have sort of gone into their, I guess, Bronze Age. It's we don't have technology. We don't really know anything. We're very much hunter-gatherer societies. Eagle Clan, we have a few farming sort of customs, but mainly we fish and we have our eagles and that's the life that we know. So these are very much, that was sort of a fun thing about creating these characters physically was I really wanted, I say it like it's up to me, it's not, but like this was one thing that I sort of expressed was I wanted them to feel like chimpanzees as opposed to humans who look like chimps. Like these are animals. This is early man. Um, and they have rudimentary tools and that's kind of it.
One of my favorite parts is that this is kind of the next step towards the original Planet of the Apes. So do you have a favorite Easter egg, either kind of pointing towards that movie or from the previous trilogy that fans should be on the lookout for?
I mean, people see it in the trailer and in the it's out right now, like now, it's that scene where there's a bunch of humans and the apes, the ape with the lasso is like chasing them. And, like that's straight out of 68, which is really cool because now we get to see that great human hunt scene from the original done in with what we have, the capacity to do today. So that's really neat. there are a few Easter eggs, but I won't give them away because they're not like major plot points, but just like little set pieces or design elements of a architecture that we see, that like people who've seen the original will go, hey, there's that thing from 68. That have really, not a big deal to do with the story, but yeah, there's little hints every now and again, which is cool.
And then can you talk to me about working with Wes Ball? Because he seemed like he's so passionate and knowledgeable about this franchise. So what makes him stand out as a director, and what makes him the right person to continue building this iconic franchise?
He's one of the greatest directors I've ever worked with, like easily. And he's so visual. He's kind of a savant when it comes to like visual storytelling. I've never met anyone who can understand the ideas of a story through images and make that like present that in such a successful manner. Watching Wes pitch a movie is one of the greatest things you'll ever see. Like I hope everybody gets to experience it. I know they won't, but even just asking him about like, oh yeah, what are some of your ideas for the next movies, or like what, how do you want to direct this or whatever, and he just goes off on this thing, and like you really get carried along with him. And that was one of the reasons that I wanted to do the movie, other than the rest of it was my first Zoom conversation with him. He literally just pitched me the film. He went through storyboards, he showed me characters, he told me about ideas that he was having for how he was going to direct it. And I was like, this guy is a genius. And like, he can do anything. He's so, I can't say enough good things about him. I adore him. And also he's got a knack for working with actors that is really rare in directors, especially directors who are so visual like he is. Like you typically it's one or the other. Like you either get a director who's brilliant at directing actors, or you get a director who like sees the frame and sees the spectacle of it. But when it comes to the interpersonal relationships, it's like they're kind of lost. Wes gets both. And I don't know, I know other actors have experienced this because we've all talked about it, but like when I was struggling with a scene, or when I needed him to help me, it was like he knew exactly how to do that, which is not something that every director knows how to do, and like really could just get me in a place immediately that anywhere else I would have had a hard time.
One of the things that I think is very, very interesting about this movie is Wes kind of said that knowledge is the virus for this movie. So can you talk about how that like spread of knowledge really changes Noah going forward?
It changes his entire perception of life and the planet and the other characters in the film. And I think, where we leave him in the movie in terms of going forward, he's still, there's kind of two voices in his head. And I won't say who those voices are, but there's two competing ways of looking at life.
Yeah.
And so I think he's got to deal with that. And I think wherever we go from here, we're going to see Noah have to figure out where he stands on a lot of, issues. But yeah, knowledge, he definitely gets infected with the knowledge virus. And it really opens his eyes, because going into the film, he has no idea what anything is.
I could talk to you about this movie forever, and I haven't even seen it yet. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. Yeah, like I said, I cannot wait for this movie. It looks so great, and I just love how excited you are about it.
I've never been this excited about anything in my life.